I believe we have Trace Fowler here joining in. It's the boss. And you know what, Trace, I don't know if you know this, but our crack producer, Stone, he's never done an interview. So I said,
I love that.
Hey, we're going to bring on an interview and we're going to do it with the boss. So you better not mess it up. And he was
Yeah.
very, very nervous. But I hear you. I see you. So it's all working good. Hey, we're both wearing our Hamilton shirts, by the way.
So that we are. Yeah, we're representing well there. Representing well. Tough night, Reed. Tough night. I mean, realistically speaking, I guess where I'm at is like at some point, sometimes if you get beat up enough or if you just get so far down the pike to where you felt like you never really felt competitive in a game, you kind of sometimes feel better about it. I went to bed feeling like we were completely outmatched. I woke up thinking the same, and now it's like you get another opportunity to fight a fight at 0-0, and I don't think that anybody in their right mind would suggest that you're in a good spot having to win 2 games in a row in LA against the Dodgers team who has the capabilities of really going all out in a game and making it extremely difficult to win. But you get a chance, and I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I think that I just had this team dead so many times this year that at some point you have to at least look at yourself in the mirror and say, maybe you're not the guy that's right. Maybe you're not the guy that should say that they're dead. So I'm not going to say they're dead. I'm here to watch them tonight. Again, Zack Littell, I think he'll throw about 3 or 4 hitters. So I'm not overly concerned about the fact that we have Zack Littell going against maybe arguably one of the best. Well, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't know if he's the best, but I don't know. I guess I'm at a point now where I even looked up the lyrics, Reed, the old Hamilton lyrics that I was thinking of, and it's we were outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, and outplanned, and I feel like that's the truth of the nature that we find ourselves in.
Trace doesn't like to think of himself as a cultured guy, but he is a big Lin-Manuel Miranda fan. He's a big
Hamilton's
fan.
An all-timer, man. It's an all-timer in Hamilton. Shout out to Hamilton, Ohio, too, as well. Why not? But anyway, Reed, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so there was this idea going into this postseason that the biggest advantage that the Reds had was that they were playing with house money, that they were playing loose, that they had nothing to lose. My takeaway watching the game last night was that clearly wasn't the case with the way that the players played. Hunter Greene obviously was very tight, didn't pitch well. I thought he was overthrowing. He was missing locations. I thought there was a lot of bad swings early on in the game, which, you played baseball. Sometimes you get too amped up and you just want to make a play and you're swinging at terrible pitches. That was the one advantage that I had. Do you feel like that portrayed itself on the field last night? And I don't know your opinion on how they played in that regard.
I feel like there was really house money for everybody but Hunter Greene. He had something to prove. Unfortunately, maybe that was the downfall or the missing link that we didn't see. It was that, he did have something to prove, because I think for a long time this town, their narrative around Hunter Greene has always been, he's a good pitcher, but he's not an elite pitcher. He's had elite moments, though, and he's looked like he's elite multiple times. I still stand on the fact that I'm not going to let one outing judge or portray my overall perspective of what I think about Hunter Greene. If he went out and threw 9 innings yesterday of shutout baseball, of course, the whole entire city would be talking about how, he's basically a Cy Young type pitcher. And I think that he's not that far away from that. The truth is, though, is he pitched in his hometown. I do think that there was some 100% nerves associated with this. And as much as we'd like to think that the regular season and the postseason, or I should say meaningful baseball down the stretch and postseason are the same, clearly they're not. I think that there's a whole nother level to this that you got to try to rank up. And unfortunately, I felt like he was one of the few guys personally that probably was a little overamped and just didn't perform well. The lineup, I mean, not to try to sound crass or be overly funny, but that's who they are. I mean, they're going to have some bad swings. They're going to have some bad at-bats. They're not going to look good at times. That's just who the Cincinnati Reds offensive baseball team is. But it was nice to see them get on the board. I mean, that's maybe there's stupid moral victories you take and it means nothing, but genuinely speaking, them getting shut out would have been yet another talking point, yet another opportunity to just jump down, I guess, the throat of the organization and talk about how it's an unserious and all these types of things. And, did 5 runs mean anything from an actual competitive standpoint last night from the chance to win? No. But I take that back a little bit. I keep thinking back on the game. Tyler Stephenson, if he's capable of having a big swing there, maybe it changes the dynamic of it all. But truth is that they were just playing a team that was better than them, and I think Hunter Greene tried to do too much. You're right.
Take us through, you talked about that eighth inning where you bring 3 runs. You had the bases juiced with 1 away. Tyler Stephenson's kind of having a long at-bat. Take us through where your headspace was, because I'm sure it was already written off when it was 8-0, and then it was 10-2, and then you're like, did you start to get back into it? Take us through your headspace through that 8th inning.
Yeah, I felt like we were completely obviously out of it like every other Reds fan, but then, they let us back in, and I felt like that was the only chance that the Reds really had to get back in the game, was that the Dodgers did something unorthodox. Everybody talked about before the game, the one weakness that this Dodgers team had was their bullpen, and I kind of, to be honest, Reed, like I kind of jokingly smirk at those types of remarks, because the truth is they're just so damn good that, if you took whatever they had that you said isn't good and you put them on the Reds, I think that the Reds fans or us collectively would be like, yeah, that's a pretty solid part of our team. The Dodgers let us back in the game last night in the 8th inning, and it was a little disheartening or disappointing, whatever term you'd like to use. I've played baseball long enough. You've played baseball long enough. And I'm not trying to say that I've played Major League Baseball, but I think I've played high enough of a level to know when you're in an at-bat, Reed, that you're trying to battle and you're kind of just touching pitches and you're trying to basically make sure that you protect the plate. You can kind of get into swing mode sometimes. And I think that unfortunately happened to Tyler. I'm not saying he would have swung at anything at all. But when folks are like, well, he swung at ball, 4, 5, 6, and 7. He did, but he also had like a 12 or 13 pitch at bat. That is a great at bat, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Tyler Stephenson swung at ball 4." He was doing a good job. They had some really good at bats in that inning as well. They laid off some really tough pitches, and it was unfortunate that he obviously swung at the pitches. And I guess semi disappointed at this point. I'm just kind of like ready to be done with the whole thing with Tito and whether he should pinch hit for certain guys or not pinch hit, or whether they should have brought up somebody with some power that came off the bench instead of Santiago Espinal. And I don't know, you guys, if we want to sit here and fight about those things, we can. But it was, I guess, a little disheartening that you had Ke'Bryan Hayes come up in a spot like that and obviously hit a weak ground ball to second base, and that ended the threat. And that was pretty much it. But we got outplayed, man. I mean, it feels like, in a way, if we're gonna get frustrated or upset that we had a chance last night, it's almost like, I don't know, we went down the field and we scored a touchdown to make it a 10-point game late, and then we muffed the onside kick to possibly get us the ball back to have a chance to go and maybe make it a 1-score game. Like, I don't know how close we really were, but I guess it makes us feel better, so we'll talk about it.
It got you on the edge of your seat, maybe not yelling at the TV. Like, it got you back in a little bit. You're like, yeah, there's a path here, and then you're just like, all right, that's what I thought was going to happen. You don't want to get too overexcited. You mentioned, pulling guys off the bench, kind of power bats. Tonight there's going to be a right-hander on the mound, Yamamoto, in the presumed lineup. If the Reds are going to do this, there's going to be some hero, right? There's going to be some guy that's going to have a big at-bat. There's going to have a big swing, home run, double, bases, whatever it is. Is there anybody that you think might be in the lineup tonight that you're kind of eyeing? Like, I think this guy might have a big game or might have a big swing tonight. Is there anybody that you're thinking, like, he might do it tonight?
No, I mean, the obvious with the right-handed pitcher, they're going to stick Gavin Lux in the 3-hole. He's going to have to play well in order for this team to get scoring opportunities, because you just don't come across those a ton, I think, from this lineup in general on a night in, night out basis. Ultimately, there's only so many guys that can kind of make that big swing and get the ball quite literally over the fence. I'd like to think, and I hope and pray that Stephenson continues to play. I don't think that I don't see any scenario in the world where Trevino could possibly be in the lineup. So I hold my breath a little bit there. But I think Stephenson's seeing the ball well right now. I do. I think that he's a guy that for all intents and purposes, it was very confusing. He didn't play 2 of the 3 games in Milwaukee when you felt like you needed to have a sweep. So Stephenson's probably the guy that sticks out right now. I think he's having really, really a lot of quality at bats. Ellie's going to be the X factor, as he always is. If he's capable of getting on base 3-4 times in a game, it just changes the dynamic of your scoring opportunities, because as you've seen last night, he gets on first base via a walk. Stephenson hits one down the line. I'm not suggesting that he's the only guy in the league that could have scored there, but he's one of the few. And realistically speaking, and whether or not they turn into the running red legs again, I don't know. But it would be nice. It would be nice to see them kind of put some pressure on the Dodgers, but they're going to have to hit the ball either in the gaps or over the fence. And I would say Stevenson's the one guy that I would hope could kind of provide that opportunity for them, at least down lower into the lineup.
You've already mentioned Zack Littell. You don't expect him to go very long in the game. What do you expect from Littell, and who do you think that first guy out of the pen is going to be? Who do you think they're going to be going to early on in that game if they do pull him after, an inning or two?
I think it's Lodolo, and I think the reason that they made this move personally is because they don't – I don't say they don't trust. I think Nick Lodolo also doesn't totally trust the situation that he has from a health perspective. I think that he got pulled out of a game where he was in a must-win game for the Cincinnati Reds. He had a career-high strikeouts with 12. He looked absolutely dominant. The Pittsburgh Pirates looked like they had zero chance to score off of him. And then all of a sudden, Trevino sees something with him, and he's not totally sure what was going on. So Trevino goes out there. He mentions that he's got a little bit of a groin situation going on. Tito goes out there. It's rumored, or it's said in the media, that he basically stated that he was going to try to finish the game. He was not going to come out. And Tito said, nope, you got to come out because ultimately, there might be more meaningful baseball games, and I can't have you obviously exacerbate the problem here as we sit in basically a one-run lead against the Pirates. So he comes out of the game, and I think from that point forward, they had made a decision internally that they were not going to start him for the mere fact that they wanted to make sure that if he does have another instance or a situation to where he gets hurt, they can get themselves in a part of the game where they can turn to relievers that I think that they trust and also are familiar with that role. You start Lodolo tonight, let's just say, for instance, you start him, he goes out there, and the next thing you know, his groin's causing him problems within the first 5 hitters. Well, now you're rushing a guy out there personally that either is a starter, right, like a Littell or someone else that's never come out of the pen, or if they have, it's been relatively infrequent. And then on top of that, you got a spot where you're going to ask Chase Burns to come into a game super early. So I think ultimately that's what this is about. If Lodolo's really good tonight and he throws the ball like he did against the Dodgers the last time, I think that he goes 6, 7 innings, 8 innings if he's throwing the ball really, really well. But they're going to ride him until he's either not effective or he gets hurt again. And I think that that's the whole reason as to why they decided to start Littell, is because they wanted to make sure that they gave, I guess, for lack of a better term, a chance for them to give Lodolo an out to get hurt. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel like that's really the only reason that they're doing this. And you guys, everyone's going to say, well, they're trying to play 3D chess. Don't give me a break. I mean, do you think for a single second that a baseball team that you watched all year long, from an analytics perspective, from a let's try to win on the margins perspective with Tito Francona, is what they're going to do against the Los Angeles Dodgers? I mean, you think the Dodgers don't think that, we're going to put a lineup out there for a righty and then all of a sudden they're going to really get us with a left-hander coming in? I mean, no, they're not going to do that, Nick. I don't say Nick, Reed. They're not going to do that. Yeah, they're not going to do that. Sorry, it's a bad habit as I sit here in front of the screen too many times a year. But I would just say ultimately that's the plan. I could be completely wrong, and if I am wrong, I hope I'm wrong in the direction that Littell goes out and throws 4 shutout innings. But he's going to throw to 4 or 5 hitters, and that'll be that.
So you don't think that the Reds are trying to goad the Dodgers into putting in a righty-centric or a lefty-centric lineup against a right-handed pitcher? You think
if they are, the Dodgers aren't idiots enough to fall for that trap. With all due respect, would you rather hit some guys maybe that have a slight disadvantage because there's a right-hander on the mound and keep your traditional lineup that you would against a left-handed pitcher, and have Zack Littell try to go an extra couple innings? I mean, yeah, I would personally. If the Dodgers want to take Yamamoto out of the game and throw some opener as a left-handed opener, and we have to somehow, we can't play Gavin Lux now, I actually would say we'll just hit Gavin Lux against the left-handed pitcher, and we'll allow the rest of the lineup to hit against a far, far, far inferior pitcher than the better one. So no, I don't think for a single second the Dodgers are going to fall for anything. It's more or less, I think, just it's just a cover up for the fact that Lodolo's hurt and or not totally sure if he's capable of throwing for more than an inning maybe 2 innings max.
Final thing I'll ask you is, it seemed like every path to victory that the Reds had of winning this series was taking game 1 with your ace on the bump, Hunter Greene.
Yeah.
That was kind of thing that you kind of breathed any optimism going down to Chavez Ravine and taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. Does it feel like it's dead with Hunter pitching like he did yesterday?
Well, I mean, it's certainly you're behind the 8 ball. I don't know. I don't know if it's dead. I feel like whenever you play a 3-game set, the only reason I feel like it's not dead is because anybody can win on any given day just based off of luck. I mean, we might run out there and have 2 or 3 or 4 guys just run into some baseballs, and it's pure luck that you score 6, 7, 8 runs tonight. Is that likely? Of course, it's not likely. But if I know one thing that can happen, there's a small chance, and the only real reason that this team is in the postseason at all is because we have a major market that felt some pressure, and that major market team kind of crumbled under that pressure. Am I suggesting the Dodgers are going to crumble under pressure? Maybe not as much as I would the Mets, but I do think that if you can get it to a game 3, crazy stuff can happen. I mean, it's a 9-inning game, and it's for your entire season, and the Reds somehow find a way to score maybe a run or 2 runs earlier in the game. I do think in game 3 you could put a lot of pressure on them, and they could maybe make some kind of non-traditional Dodger errors or plays. So it's not dead to me. I really know that might sound oxymoronic because I've called the season dead thousands of times, but the truth is that they have put it this way, they have a significantly higher chance to win this series than they did to make the playoffs at the beginning of September. So, take that for what it's worth. And if you're a Reds fan, I would just say, I'm not saying that you don't care about the game or the outcome. Of course we all do. But, I mean, why wouldn't you want to be excited about tonight? Why wouldn't you want to watch? What's the point of being a fan is if the first time in how many ever years, and I know we can count 2020, but realistically speaking, the first time they've been in the postseason since 2013 with a full regular season, why not get yourself in a spot where you feel good? And I personally, for whatever dumb reason, as much as I've put time, effort, and energy into this franchise and this baseball team this year, I feel good. I feel like, you know what? Why not? Why not go out there and just have fun and play loose and see what happens? Now, if the players don't have that mindset, well, then I guess it doesn't matter. But we'll see ultimately what happens, I guess.
It's probably a better question for your co-host, Nick Kirby. What do Chatterbox Reds have in store for today?
Well, we have a pregame show that's going to go on at 8:30, and then we will obviously go live in the beginning of the game at 9:08. I think is this official start time yet again. But with ESPN and the whole situation at hand, who knows really what happens? Don't want to get into the fact that we switched over to WNBA coverage in the middle of me trying to watch a Shohei Ohtani hit in the first inning, and then he proceeds to hit a home run that I didn't get to see. I get that they told me 3, 4, 5 times when first of all, my television's muted because I'm doing a show, so I can't hear it. I get relatively that they might have told everybody to switch over, but you mean to tell me that you couldn't have just waited maybe 4 or 5 more minutes there and just cut it over in the middle of the commercial break? You just had to get to that WNBA coverage that, quite frankly, I'll say it, nobody really cared about at that time of day. I don't know. What a dumb move by ESPN. So we're gonna go live in the 9th, and or we're gonna go live in the at 9:08, not the 9th, but at 9:08 or whenever the I guess first pitch is, and then we'll take it all the way through, and then we'll do the post game show directly after the game, like we always have, and hopefully it's a winning edition, so we can find a way to do it again the following day.
Yeah, I was watching the ESPN broadcast, and you got to see Aroldis Chapman shut down the Yankees, bases juiced, 3 consecutive outs, and then he goes straight into it, and you're like, all right, here's the Reds game, and then Shohei goes deep. I'm like, well, that stinks. So it got
Well,
bad.
it's probably cool to the national audience.
Well, it was really correct. It was pretty neat. If you're a baseball fan, that was pretty neat. But as someone who's pulling for the Reds, that was not what you wanted. Not what you wanted to see. Trace, thanks so much for hopping on today. Good luck to the Reds later on today. Chatterbox Reds. They did a live show with the lineup yesterday. I don't know if Craig and Kirby are doing that again. But
you never know with Kirby. He's a content machine. Yeah, he's a grinder. The guy might be working on some kind of extra edition show as we speak. But I'll leave him be to that. He does quite literally maybe more work for Chatterbox Reds than humanly possible. So and he's got like 6 kids. By 6 kids, maybe 4, but you get
like
the point.
4. Thanks so much, Trace, for hopping on.
All right, man. See you, Reader.